The research question for today is how rising sea levels threaten coastal communities in South Asia.
The more sea levels rise, the more mangroves are destroyed. According to Science Direct, Southeast Asia is known as one of the most sensitive and vulnerable to the effects of climate change than other regions of the world due to its expansive and populated coast and ecological impact. Giving Compass organization states in Southeast Asia, parts of Ho Chi Minh City and Bangkok could be underwater by 2050. The fossil fuel industry and sectors heavily reliant on fossil fuels are the primary drivers of rising sea levels due to their significant contribution to greenhouse gas emissions, which lead to global warming and the melting of ice and thermal expansion of seawater.
Sea level rise is happening because of three main reasons. First, as the earth gets warmer, glaciers and ice sheets, especially in places like the Himalayas, are melting faster. This adds more water to the oceans. Second, warm water takes up more space, so as the oceans heat up, they expand, causing sea levels to rise. Third, human activities like excessive groundwater extraction for agriculture are also contributing to the problem. Human actions like burning fossil fuels for energy and transportation release greenhouse gases that trap heat. Deforestation reduces the Earth's ability to absorb these gases, and activities like rice farming and livestock production release methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. Human actions are the primary driver of climate change, though natural factors can intensify the effects. Weak policies and ongoing fossil fuel subsidies worsen the issue. Rising sea levels in coastal South Asia pose both short-term and long-term risks. In the short term, communities face increased flooding, land loss, and the destruction of infrastructure, impacting industries like fishing, agriculture, and tourism. Vulnerable populations are at high risk due to limited resources and lack of adaptation options. Over the long term, entire communities may be displaced as coastal areas become inhabitable. The loss of agricultural land due to saltwater intrusion threatens food security and coastal ecosystems. The economic impact of rising sea levels is significant, with job losses in industries reliant on coastal resources and trade disruptions from damage to ports. Rising sea levels are not just a local issue for South Asia but a global one, linked to borders efforts needed to mitigate climate change and reduce emissions.
According to Monga Bay News, rising sea levels are displacing fisherfolk in Pakistan's coastal areas, forcing them to move to higher ground such as Karachi, where they now face saltwater intrusion and other climate impacts. Karachi is expected to receive 2.3 million climate migrants by 2050, mainly due to rising sea levels, saltwater intrusion, and other climate-related issues. Millions of acres of land have been lost to the sea. The fisherfolk who have traditionally lived and worked near the coast have lost their homes. The map shows two things. One, the areas where the fisherfolk originally lived before the sea took over, and second, the places in Karachi where many of them have moved to start over. According to the think tank journal, Pakistan's coastal areas along the Arabian Sea are facing more problems because of climate change. These issues include damage to the environment, economic struggles, and risks to the country's growing ocean-based industries. Even though Pakistan has one of the world's largest mangrove forests, these regions are still in danger. Sea level rise driven by global warming is causing coastal erosion and flooding in low-lying areas. Along the Karachi coast, sea levels have been increasing at an estimated rate of 1.1 millimeters per year from 1856 to 2000. Experts warn that this rate may increase in the future, increasing the risks for coastal communities and ecosystems. Stronger storms and heavy monsoons are becoming more frequent, and rising sea levels make the flooding even worse. For example, the coastal city of Gwadar has faced severe floods and infrastructure damage due to intensified monsoons and higher sea levels pushing water further inland. China's coastline is very at risk from rising sea levels because it is low-lying, has certain types of land, and its economy and development are not fully prepared for these changes. Cambridge University Press states, the sea level along China's coastline has been rising faster than the global average, mostly because of the sinking of land caused by groundwater use. According to the China Sea Level Bulletin 2021 released by the Ministry of Natural Resources, China's coastal sea level in 2021 was 8.4 centimeters higher than the average level from 1993 to 2001. The report warns that rising sea levels are still impacting coastal development. It urges the government to improve monitoring and strengthen early warning systems to help prevent future problems. This graph here shows how sea levels are going up over time. The global sea level has been rising by 3.3 millimeters per year since 1993, and China's sea level has been rising at the same rate since 1980. The lines on the graph keep going up, which means the water levels are getting higher. This information comes from NASA and China's Ministry of Natural Resources.
To address the threat of rising sea levels in South Asia, organizations like the IPCC stress the urgent need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This includes shifting to renewable energy and promoting sustainable urban planning. The United Nations Environment Programme (UNEP) emphasizes ecosystem-based adaptations such as restoring coastal ecosystems like mangroves, which provide natural protection from flooding and erosion. Governments are encouraged to develop comprehensive adaptation plans, including relocation strategies for vulnerable populations, and ensure these are part of the national climate policies. Regional cooperations and international financing are also vital for successful adaptation. By following these recommendations, South Asia can both mitigate and adapt to rising sea levels, safeguarding coastal communities and ecosystems.
Through my research, I've learned how climate change directly affects people's lives and why urgent action is needed. Governments, scientists, and communities must work together on stronger infrastructure, disaster response, and reducing carbon emissions. The future of South Asia's coast depends on what we do today.